My name is Courtney Kazemchak, and I am an art history and historic preservation double major with a minor in museum studies at the University of Mary Washington. This look at Venetian opera and the Teatro Malibran was created using research done for a Venice seminar in the art history department. Venetian opera became a social phenomenon in the early 1600s. This was partly because of its accessibility, as it was no longer exclusive to the nobility. The first public opera was performed at the Palazzo Monsenigo in Venice. The show was Claudio Monteverdi's The Battle of Tancredi and Clorinda. This event marked the first time that opera could be seen by all, regardless of their class status. The first public opera house opened in 1637, and that set a precedent for all opera performances thereafter. Now, opera had a home to call its own, and it was no longer restricted to the aura of a palace. The houses were horseshoe-shaped, with the stage at one end and tiers of boxes continuing the oval. Today, box seats are found in a great deal of theaters and arenas around the world, but they were first seen in Venice during the late 1500s. Prior to boxes, seats would have been in an amphitheater style with descending rows of benches. These boxes are indicative of what Venetian theater was all about, the pageantry of being seen at the opera. 2/3 of the seats were positioned so occupants had good views of each other, not the stage. They were windows that acted as private spaces from which to view public events. The box seat subscriber list was like a who's who of Venetian society. The nobility who paid for the boxes were known as condomini, and the location of the boxes determined their price, which was paid seasonally, but the boxes were rented in perpetuity. Those who could not pay for the price of the box were able to sit in the center section on hard wooden benches. The design probably came from theaters in Padua, where they had tiers of galleries but not private boxes. The money came from Venetian families, such as the Tron or Grimani family, who wanted to enhance their family prestige and financial gain. These families supported the construction or adaptation of buildings and were longtime leaseholders of boxes. Venetian opera created a competition among the patrician families, essentially a self-ennobled merchant class, which encouraged investment in theaters as a means of increasing wealth and status. The Teatro Grimani was the third of the Grimani family theaters and was hailed as the biggest, most beautiful, and richest theater in the city upon its opening in 1678. The theater was also called Teatro di San Giovanni Grisostomo, after a nearby church. Naming opera houses after churches was a common Venetian thing. San Giovanni Grisostomo was designed by Tommaso Bezzi and featured 5 tiers of boxes, caryatids, parapets, 10 proscenium boxes, and the family crest displayed prominently over the proscenium. On the ceiling were allegorical images of the history of theater, painted by Giuseppe Cherubini. The land the theater sits on was once the site of Marco Polo's family palace, called Camillion. It was a very highly regarded theater and premiered works by Scarlatti and Handel. In 1797, the family gave up their rights of the opera house to the provisional municipality, who transformed it into Teatro Civico. In 1819, while in terrible shape, it was bought by Luigi Facchini and Giovanni Gallo, who restored it. Gallo then became the sole owner of the building and renamed it Teatro Emerenizio in 1834. Just a year later, it was renamed Teatro Malibran after Maria Garcia Malibran, a noted female singer, who refused her fee and said it should be used for the theater. Teatro Malibran is still standing in Venice today, with a yellow facade and blocks of white stone, engaged Corinthian columns, and masks of comedy and tragedy. After multiple renovations and restorations, it now has 900 seats, a coral beige interior, with 3 box tiers and 350 boxes. After periods of decline and despair, the Teatro Malibran has regained its place as the most important theater in Venice.